So Kristen is an associate professor at Cal Poly Pomona, where she teaches digital marketing and mobile marketing courses. She serves on the board of directors, Marketing Educators Association, and has earned several awards for her contribution to research and teaching, including Provost Teacher Scholar Award and Wall of Cool. She has over 10 years of industry experience in digital marketing. So thank you so much for being here today, Kristen. I'm really excited to hear about your COVID and client-based projects.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate the introduction. So let me share my screen. Okay. All right, thank you guys so much for being here. This has been an amazing conference, right? Thank you all for joining me. I didn't realize I was going to be the last speaker of the conference, so last but hopefully not least. So what I'll be talking to you guys about today is COVID and client-based projects. Basically how to use digital marketing concepts, mobile marketing concepts to turn pandemic problems into opportunities. So let's get started. So as she mentioned, I'm a professor at Cal Poly Pomona. And actually in the first draft of this presentation, it said assistant marketing professor, but I just found out like a week and a half ago that I received tenure and promotion to associate. So it's been an exciting few weeks for me. Also at Cal Poly, I'm an advisor for the Center of Customer Insights and Digital Marketing. So we do a lot of, our students work on projects for real clients. And I'm also on the board of directors for the Marketing Educators Association. I put the website here if you guys are interested in going and checking us out, learning more and seeing how you can get involved. We're have a lot of things going on, so looking for new members and to attend our conference in April. Okay, so what I'll be going over today, first, why client projects matter, and this is especially important now in our pandemic, post-pandemic world that we're navigating right now. So why these client-based projects matter, how we can create high impact experiences for our students. And Cal Poly, the Poly is Polytechnic. We're one of the top Polytechnic universities in the country. And one of the main reasons why I wanted to work at this university was because of this Polytechnic. And what that basically is, we're all about learn by doing, hands-on experiences. You know, even our agriculture department, for the hands-on experience, they work on a real farm. Our brewing classes, we have a real brewery and where they make beer, and so everything's very hands-on. And so, you know, as a digital marketing professor, you know, all my classes are very, very hands-on. And so that's what I'm talking about today is some of the things that I've been using and how you can use these in your classes as well. And I'm sure that's probably one of the big reasons you guys are here today is to get different tools and project ideas and things that you can use as you prepare for your fall curriculum. I know summer just started and it's weird to start thinking about fall already, but you know, it's nice to have some tools on our tool belt as we go forward. So in my presentation, I will be some point, someone, I think maybe Abigail or Virgil will be adding to the chat links to documents for my project outlines. So if you guys are like me, my PhD is in marketing, not digital marketing or mobile marketing. And so, you know, teaching these courses, I never received formal teaching training in digital or mobile marketing. They didn't have that when, you know, when I was in grad school. And so if you guys are like me, we had to kind of to learn a lot of this stuff on the fly and create things as we go. And so I've been teaching digital marketing and mobile for about 6 years now. And so over time, I've been able to edit and perfect my projects. And so I wanted to share those with you. And I'll go into more detail about those documents in later slides. So in this presentation, I'll be talking about client projects for my digital marketing course. I taught multiple sections of the digital marketing course last fall, 2020. And this was taught at both a master's and an undergraduate level. We had the same client for both those classes, which was really cool to see. The master's students came up with very different things than the undergrads. And our client was very, very excited to see, you know, these different innovative ideas. And then the mobile marketing course I taught this past spring. And I've taught mobile marketing for a few years now, and it's an awesome course. A lot of schools don't have mobile marketing courses, and I highly suggest that it's something that if you're interested in teaching, to bring it up to your department chair or dean about offering these kind of courses, because mobile is so huge right now. And so it's important that we offer more of these courses. I brought the idea up to my department chair a few years ago, and she's like, you know what, we'll test run it for a semester. And it was so popular that now we're offering it every semester, and we might actually be offering it a couple sections per semester just because it's so popular. So I'll be showing you guys some information on those. For both of my digital marketing and mobile marketing courses, I use student textbooks. So I use the digital marketing textbook for that course and the mobile marketing essentials for the other. They didn't pay me to say that, although I wish they would. They're just, I know those of you who've used their products, like there's nothing else on the market that's this up to date and has the most relevant information, input from industry professionals. So that's my plug. At the very end, I will we'll go into some Q&A. Hopefully we have time for that. And if I don't get to your question at the end, please feel free to connect with me by email or LinkedIn. And I would love to continue this conversation, later throughout the summer. All right, so let's get started. So thinking back to a year from now, so a year ago, 2020 graduates entered the worst labor market since the Great Depression. And it was a rough time for everyone, but especially, our new grads. And I remember during this time, we had just gone online, and my students were freaking out, as I'm sure your students were freaking out as well. And they had a lot to think about. So it was a very tight job market. There were so many quarantine restrictions and social distancing. And because of that, there was a lot of my students, their summer internships were canceled, or their different things that they were planning on doing, study abroad, all those things were canceled for the summer. We have very high unemployment rate. And, coupled with that is now they just graduated, and there's this pressure to pay off their student loans. And something else throughout different parts of the US or all over, the cost of living increased dramatically. I live in Orange County, California, and our housing market has been insane. It's really, really difficult to buy here now. And so the rents have been going up. And so these students have a lot on their plate. So these are all things I had in the back of my mind last summer as I was preparing for my fall and spring courses. So looking at this, so as we talked about, the pandemic diminished a lot of employment in a lot of different industries, especially for recent grads. And so what we started seeing is that when companies had to start doing layoffs and reduce hiring, the positions that they kind of cut back on are these entry-level positions. And so what we're seeing is that now these new grads, they are moving into industry, and the entry-level positions that they normally be going into are no longer available. According to the Wall Street Journal a couple months ago, the crisis of unemployed college graduates, colleges must help prepare the class of 2021 to navigate the worst job market. And we have seen over the past few months an increase in employment, but a lot of the jobs that I've seen and my students have seen being posted are not things that they've traded for in college. A lot of the job that they're seeing postings for is an increase in restaurant servers and baristas, and so more of those things in the retail space, and that wasn't really what they were looking for. And so with that in mind, we started offering, I wanted to make sure these client projects I was offering my students, they're really able to use what they're learning in class to solve real problems and help them to, create a more robust CV and, create foster the self-efficacy and skills and the confidence to enter the job market during a really difficult time. And, a lot of prior research, Ranta, Weston Simmons, a lot of this prior research, they talk about how, employers have found that students who have engaged in these real world client-based projects, they're much better qualified and much better prepared as they enter their job market. And so, these projects are a really powerful tool to empower our students and give them the competitive advantage over their peers. Again, hands-on, learn by doing. We really focus, especially in our digital marketing courses, on making sure that they have training in a lot of different kinds of platforms. We also have them do, as part of like our courses, like they need to have certain certifications. And so for example, in my digital marketing course, one of their projects that they're actually graded for is they need to complete the Google Analytics certification. And right now I'm teaching an SEO course this summer. They do a SEMrush certification. So having those, creating portfolios using, we use Portfolium, having those things built into the class really gets the students focused and prepared as they move forward. So this is all about problem solving. And so the first problem that I was really trying to solve as I was creating my fall and spring curriculum was, when companies are having financial difficulties, they are hiring more, like I said, more mid-level and not these entry-level positions. And so what I was really trying to create in my courses is to create these client-based projects to train the students on the entry-level skills that they would normally receive during their first, 1 or 2 years of employment. And so that way they were able to, actually be considered for some of these open positions that were coming up, even though they hadn't had those formal years. What was really awesome is with my clients that we work with, they all offered my students, if they were interested, a letter of recommendation saying that they worked on social media projects or website redesign, mobile app redesign. And so my clients actually wrote letters of recommendation for my students, which was amazing for my students because a lot of them, because of their internships last summer, got canceled. They didn't have a lot of experience with real employers, and so this was really helpful to them. And so that's solving the student problem with the projects. And also these projects, they solve the client's problems. And so because of the pandemic and all the different social distancing restrictions, they've hurt a lot of businesses and they have a lot of reduced resources. And so, a big win for them is their projects with students. This offers either a free or low cost way to find new ideas to be able to innovate. And also my students, especially my undergrads, are, they're really good with digital marketing. And so they're are able to give our clients some great tools. And what's also been pretty amazing is that throughout the years I've been teaching these courses, our clients almost every term have offered at least 1 to 2 students either an internship or a position at their company. And so, this past spring we just finished a project for a Kismet dating app, and I'll talk about that later. But they offered one of my students who did such an amazing job. They offered her an internship, and so she just started last week. And it's just creating these networking opportunities aside just from these hands-on training that's really important for the students. Okay. So especially with, we all moved online this past year. I know that I'm part of the Cal State system. And so our Cal States, we are planning on moving at least part-time face-to-face in the fall. But still there's going to be a lot of online virtual experiences. And so, trying to create these high-level learning in both online and offline courses, things that have high impact, increased quality and rigor to our courses. And so in all my courses, I use the design thinking method. I use the method there's a bunch of different methods out there. The one I use is from Stanford's D School. It's the one that my students have enjoyed the most. And to me, it's the most intuitive, and it's Stanford. So obviously there's some quality behind that. If you guys, some of you may have attended, I spoke for students last August, I think, for the digital summit. And that was I focused completely on design thinking and mobile marketing. So I'm sure somewhere on the YouTube channel that my recordings may be there if you guys are interested in learning more about just that. I'll touch on some of those things when I talk about the mobile marketing course, but somewhere that video is saved. So design thinking, the reason why I use design thinking is it creates these problem solving, critical thinking skills that are so important for our students. I mean, yes, I teach different platforms, how to use Wix or WordPress or Instagram, all those different platforms, but those platforms could be obsolete in a couple of years. There's going to be other platforms and other technologies and tools that are going to be out there. But the thing that will always remain the same is critical thinking and problem solving skills will always be important. And so those are things that I really push with my students. And with design thinking, it focuses on empathy. So thinking about the needs of your client and their end user and trying to solve a problem that they are having. Ideation, brainstorming to generate a lot of possible solutions, and experimentation, testing out those ideas with prototypes. And so we use the model, how might we approach? And basically what that means is the how is that, it's possible. The might is there's tons of different solutions. We just need to brainstorm and get those ideas out there and experiment with those. And then the we is that this collaborative team effort. So first we're going to talk about my digital marketing course project. This is the client we use for the fall. Both my undergraduate and MBA level digital marketing courses use the same client. The client was Heartland Cafe Mart, a vegetarian restaurant in Walnut, California, which is near our campus. They approached me. It's actually one of the owners is one of my former MBA students, and he approached me saying, you know what, we're having a really difficult time because of all the different quarantine restrictions. The restaurant industry was hit very, very hard this past year, especially with the either reduced or no in-person dining. And with this vegetarian restaurant and cafe, they had a really unique model, and it kind of needed that in-store experience. And so what they did, as you can see here in the picture on the left, they had kind of like these like bar stools set out, and you can actually watch the chefs as they prepared the food. And as they prepared it, they talked about all the ingredients, and they sourced from all of these local farmers and educated them about the importance of plant-based eating. And then after that, you can see kind of in the back of this photo, they had attached to their restaurant a in-store little mart where they sold a bunch of their, this organic produce and all these ingredients and things to make those same meals at home. And so there's this huge, in-store dining experience that they couldn't really do anymore. And so they contracted our students to, try to reinvent this experience and put it online. And so trying to create, they created a digital marketing plan, social media content portfolio, and was really trying to recreate this experience that they were no longer able to do in store. And so this is basic outline of my course project. So at the end of the term, the students did a 15-minute pitch to the client, and they delivered a digital marketing portfolio that included all of these different things. So the first one is the brand voice recommendations, and this is my students usually one of their favorite activities. What we do first is we watch the student has a brand voice video. It's one of the reps from Airbnb, and it talks about the 5 Ds of creating your brand voice. And my students love that. It's a relatively short video. We show it in class, and then they get into their teams, and they start to brainstorm using their parameters. What is the brand voice of our client? And then they use that voice as they create the narrative throughout all of these other platforms, so the website, email, social. So that brand voice is like kind of the starting off point that makes their projects very unique. And it was kind of cool to see that different groups took this in different ways, and even though it was the same company, same client, they had different voices, and how that influenced all their other materials they came out with. Website design, our client had a very basic, not very good website. They had used, I think Wix, or just one of the platforms, But if you go on the website, like at first when you look at it, it does look nice. But if you actually read through it, it had paragraphs that still were the stock paragraphs that like was, they usually have like Latin or something in there. And so it wasn't even a complete website. And so if you couldn't go to their in-store experience, the only touch point someone has is on the website, and the website, wasn't that great. So we did a website design analysis and gave them recommendations. Email marketing campaign, for this one, we analyzed, we call it the good, bad, and ugly. And so I had my students within their groups, they go into their own emails and see, what are some good, bad, and really bad emails that they've been sent. And then going through that and analyzing those and picking out, the top pros and cons of these, and then being able to implement those into an email marketing campaign. So they created some sample emails that the client could send out. We do a social media analysis where we compare the social media of our client with 1 to 2 close competitors. So for Heartland, a lot of my students compared with Veggie Grill, which is a little bit not fair because Heartland didn't have much of a social media presence, and Veggie Grill is kind of more of a chain, plant-based restaurant, and so their social was much more robust. And so, but we were able to get a lot of cool ideas from them. And then the social media content creation. So taking that analysis and then actually creating content. And so my students, they use Canva and PictoChart for these. And if you haven't used those before, Canva and PictoChart, they're free. All the different tools and platforms I use in my courses are free. I do that for 2 reasons. One, our students are usually on a small budget. They already paid a lot of money for tuition and parking. Our school's like crazy parking fees, and then paying for like the textbook. And so I don't want them to have to then pay for tools. And so that's one reason why all my tools are free. And the other one is a lot of these students, the first positions that they go into at different jobs in marketing, because they're young, what you guys know this already, but what they're going to be tagged to do is like their older managers are going to say, hey, you're young, you're part of this, you grew up with digital marketing, social media, so you're going to be in charge of that. And especially if they're working for a small company that doesn't have a ton of resources, if my students are able to come in and create some great looking content for them using these free platforms, they're going to look like rock stars. That's what's going to get them to move up within that company. And so those are 2 reasons why I always use free tools. And at the end, they do like overall recommendations, because a lot of my students they got really, really into this project, especially I had some students who were vegan, and they got super into this project, and they had recommendations that didn't even fit into the parameters that I had put out there. They had all these cool ideas. And that's what you want to see. Student engagement where your students go above and beyond. They're so excited for the project. They're so excited for the client, what they do, that they, add things that, you didn't even have in the project. So they created some really wonderful things. At the end, they had an appendix that included charts and graphs and research findings. So that was the course project for that. Here are just a few samples of student works. I just put up a couple. They had a lot of really great things. The one on the left is one of my favorites. So this is a social media post for Instagram, and it says, "Greens are the new gold." And so they had this photo with the bracelets made out of the greens. And so that was a big thing throughout all of these, is they were trying to educate people about the importance of organic lifestyle. So again, these were all created using Canva. Here's a few more. So they're very small, so it's very difficult to read, but I want to be able to get them all up there. So on the left and the far left, far right, you'll see infographics. And so my students use PictoChart to create infographics. And that's another really great tool to use. I believe Canva also has infographic templates, but I found that the PictoChart just has better. And also too is, again, you're exposing your students to another tool that they can put on their resume and something that they can utilize. So that is my digital marketing project. The next project I want to get into is my mobile marketing course project. And so for this project this past spring, we worked with Kismet, which is a new dating app. And you guys may have received an email from student about a month ago, maybe a few weeks ago, about a new case study on Kismet and the dating app industry that's going to be in the new edition of the Mobile Marketing Essentials textbook. The case study, shameless self-promotion. So this is one of the case studies that myself and Mary Beth worked on together. And if you guys don't know Mary Beth McCabe, she's awesome, a rock star in our industry. So it's really cool to work with her. And so basically what my class did for this project is that we worked with this dating app, and like Heartland, Heartland had a lot of issues because of COVID and social distancing restrictions. Same thing with Kismet. Kismet launched a dating app, I think it was March 1st of 2020. And so like 2 weeks before everything shut down, we all went into hiding. They had launched this dating app. And so really bad timing, not their fault. And so what they've basically been able to do over the past year is it's been in beta. And so they've just been testing different things out. And so that was something that our class was kind of helping them on. You guys, I don't know if you guys heard this term before, FODA. It's fear of dating again. And so what they're finding now is that now that things are starting to open up more, people who haven't dated in a year, they're out of practice, and so they're afraid of dating again. And so one of the things that our students were trying to do with this app was trying to make people less fearful about dating again, and creating an experience that was more welcoming to them. The other, you guys may have heard this term too, cave syndrome. Is that something else I keep seeing more and more in different articles about it? And I actually may be afflicted by this cave syndrome as well. So it's basically that we've been in a cave, we've been in hiding for the past year, and now it's kind of hard to leave again. It's like trying to navigate, well, now what do we do? What is the norm? And I live in California. Our rules keep changing. As of yesterday, June 15th, you can go places now without masks if you've been vaccinated. I don't know what the rules are in other states, but so it's something we're constantly navigating. But so between FODA and cave syndrome, people are really hesitant to leave home and to meet new people. And so, trying to create an online experience, an app experience that can help people start to begin to navigate in this process to meet new people and begin dating again. Aside from those issues, Kismet's entering into a very competitive market. Match, Tinder, Bumble, there are some really big players who have been in the market for a long time. They're much more well-known. And so it's very, how do we get in front of our target market? How do we educate people about this app and also what this app does? And so this app, it takes into account Vedic astrology, and it does, uses the same matchmaking principles as have been used for, generations, especially in India and East Asia, this matchmaking where they put in different information about where you, when and where you were born, and it helps to match you with people based on different compatibilities. And so to create this app, they met with a guru in India, a matchmaking guru, and they were able to recreate this ancient matchmaking technique into an app algorithm, which is super cool. Like taking this ancient tradition and using modern technology to, create an app so more people can utilize this. Very cool. So in places in India and East Asia where, Vedic astrology is more well-known, this app may be more accepted, but here in the West, a lot of people don't know about Vedic astrology and how it's different from, I guess Western astrology, the other astrology, and which before, working with them, I didn't know this either. And so the big campaign that my students were doing was trying to educate people, not just about the app, but also about the process and why it's worked and why to try it out and trust it. So for this course project, and again, I'm sorry, am I going way over time? Might be okay. Just Abigail, or stop me if I start going way over time. I get really excited about this kind of stuff. So again, our client is Kismet, and then although we're trying to solve the problems of our client, the big focus is on our end user. And so for this, it was single adults Originally when they approached us about this, the target market was, I think they were thinking more 30 to 50, more of a little bit older target market. And in my students' research, they found it was better to do it down to 18 because they found that younger generation was more open to things like astrology, where in their research, people between 30 and 50 were maybe a little bit more cynical about trying something like this out. And so for that group, we'd have to really push their education and re-education campaigns. But with the younger generation, they were a little more open to trying something new like this. So as an end user, it kind of put single adults. And so for this project, we use the design thinking method to redesign their current app. Like I said, their app has been in beta for the past year. And so they wanted to redesign it to make it more user-friendly, utilizing UI, UX to create a better experience. And so when you're a new player in the industry, you have to make sure that when people check you out for the first time, that they're going to want to keep coming back. And so creating something that users like to use. And then aside from the redesign, how they can market their redesign, market this app. And their goal is, my students presented these projects end of May. And right now the Kismet's going through and taking kind of cherry picking from each of the different groups, some of their favorite pieces, and incorporating all of those into their redesign and the new app, and also their websites being redesigned. And that was using recommendations from my students. That should all be coming out September, October. And it's really cool for my students to have that in their portfolio, to be able to say, I helped redesign this app and help redesign this website. So my clients that I've used so far have been very receptive to the students' ideas and actually use them. That's really cool. So I don't know if they've already uploaded the documents or not, but in the mobile marketing course outline, I go much more into detail with these, but basically the project follows the design thinking method. If you haven't used it before, these are the basic steps. So first you empathize with your end user and start to define what are the problems that the target user is having. The next step is to ideate, and this is where as a group you brainstorm how we can solve those problems using this mobile app. And then my students created a prototype. So the first prototype they created was actually a wireframe. And the wireframe, most of the groups used either Adobe XD or Lucid. So Lucid app has a pretty easy drag and drop system where you can create wireframes fairly quickly, and just to get your ideas out there. And then once they created those wireframes, and that kind of just showed, how the app was laid out and kind of had it all out in one, big poster type thing for our focus group to look at. They met with focus groups and people in the target market. And because of social restrictions, they did it all over Zoom. But in prior terms, my students have done it all in-person focus groups. And so from those wireframes, testing the wireframes first with the target market, they were able to, get some feedback of things that they could change, add, get rid of. And then once they had that, then they use another online program. Most of my groups usually use Marvel app, really easy drag and drop program. Some use Adobe XD, but my students, I should probably start with this. All my students are marketing students. I have a few that have taken some graphic design classes. None of them have taken coding courses. If they're, have done coding before, they're probably in, a different department and not taking my course. My course is all marketing students. And so because of that, I don't expect them to do any coding. All the programs that we use, they're more of a drag and drop system. And like with Marvel, basically what you're creating is in a way like kind of a glorified PowerPoint presentation. And so it's as they're using the app, it seems, the prototype of the app, it seems like they're actually going from page to page right when they press it. But basically it's on the front end, it looks like a PowerPoint presentation. But it's a great way for our client to actually get to use and test out the way the app works. So they create then the app in Marvel or Adobe XD, and then they run a second focus group, and it's a different group of users, and trying this out and seeing how the user experience is. And then at the end, they they assess, make any final tweaks based on their last focus group, and then they presented their final apps to our client. So here's just a couple examples. So on the left, you can see the empathy map. And so with the empathy map, if you haven't done this before, it's you think about your end user and what are things that they would say, think, do, or feel. And so doing these different things, you're doing this exercise, you're able to really put yourselves in the shoes of the end user. On the left here, I don't know if I might need to move my video. So on the left here, you can see the wireframe. So this is something that was created using Lucid. And having it all laid out like this, they're able to kind of one shot show the focus group how things are laid out, how it's going to flow, and then they're able to make changes from there before they actually go in and start, creating things. And this right here in the middle of the purple was created using the Marvel app. If you are able to, if you click on this right here, continue with Apple, it will take you to the login. And so it actually is a movable, moving prototype. Here's some other examples of student work. This group used Marvel as well. And so they really wanted to focus on how the process worked. Something else, I'll move this so you can see over here on the far left side. One of the other goals that our client had is they really wanted to improve their ASO, their app store, their app search optimization. And so they wanted to make sure that they had more reviews on their app store. And so what they did is this group told them that, one thing you really should do is if you have happy users, try to get them to be your advocates. And so, a lot of people, if they're using something, they like it, they don't think to go do a review. But if you put something like this out there, it kind of shows them, hey, I really do like using this. I'm going to do a review to help this app. And so this would take you then straight to the App Store where you could give your review. Okay. Here's another example of student work. And as you can see, all the students, they came up with very different designs. This group, they actually had a student who had graphic design experience, and they used Adobe XD. And they had an even more unique look where they wanted to create more of a dashboard system. And this is kind of what it looks like, their dashboard. They wanted to create a daily horoscope page to get people to continuously come back to an app, because most apps that are downloaded aren't used within a year. Off the top of my head, I can't think of their percentage, but it's like a really big percentage of that aren't used after a certain year, after a year. So they wanted to get a way to have people keep coming back, and then showing their signs and compatibility. So that's what I have for you guys. I think we have time for questions, but before that, just some final thoughts, as we've been in the new normal and as we're moving into the next normal, as educators, we kind of really need to reevaluate, what we're doing and how we're going to, engage our students, and the types of projects that we create and the partnerships that we create with clients. It's really important, and we want to make sure that we're not just teaching from the textbook. We want to make sure that what we teach is the course concepts are very relevant to today and very relevant to what the students are going to encounter after graduation. And we want to show our students that what they're learning has some sort of impact. It's not just we're doing all these busy work activities. Everything kind of has to come together, and there needs to be some reason behind all of that. And so making it very clear to our students, we're doing X, Y, and Z, and that's all leading to this certain learning objective, and then why that learning objective is even important. And so those are two things to really think about: relevancy and impact. And these client-based projects, they're just one example of high impact learning experiences. And what was awesome about these is they can be implemented both online or face-to-face. I actually found this past year, it was easier for my students and my clients to work together because of Zoom, because of having that online component. So although the restaurant we worked with was very close to campus, the Kismet app, they're based out of Santa Monica. And those of you who live in California, trying to drive from Santa Monica to Pomona, especially during rush hour, would be awful. And so I found this past year, trying to get Zoom meetings with our clients, also, guest speakers has been a lot easier this year. And a lot of people ask me, and I'm sure I haven't looked at the chat yet, I'm sorry. I'm sure one of the questions will be about how do I find clients? A lot of times it's that I'm, people within my direct network. So for example, the Heartland Cafe was one of my former students. But I also have reached out to people either via LinkedIn or, conferences, things like this. And so that's been really helpful. And also to find guest speakers, LinkedIn has been a great tool. I don't know if you guys have done this before, but if you go onto, what I do is I go onto the Cal Poly Pomona LinkedIn page. And I go to where it says alumni. And then if you go to alumni, you can search digital marketing or mobile marketing, and then it will then pull up all of the alumni of your university who have digital marketing or mobile marketing somewhere in their LinkedIn profile, their job title. And it's been awesome. That's how I reach out to those alumni and say, hey, I'm teaching a mobile marketing course. I see that you are an alumni. Would you be interested in speaking? And then, especially if it's via Zoom, I mean, they could be anywhere right now. So we've had guest speakers come from across the country, and that's been really awesome for my students. So let's see, I think that is it. And I will stop share and check out questions. Oh my goodness, there's 42. Okay. Awesome. So how should we do this questioning? Do you want to call on people or should I?
I have a few that we collected along the way. So somebody asked a little earlier in the presentation, what do you use for the portfolio?
Oh, we use Portfolium. So it's Portfolium, I believe. And so it's a great tool, and it has capabilities that can link with your LinkedIn. I think that might actually be part of LinkedIn. Oh, good. Someone put, yay, thank you, Virgil. Who put the link there? Great tool. Our university actually has a license for it, so our students don't have to pay for it. And so that might be something that you might look into if your university has something like that, or it might be something to approach your dean or department chair about getting something like that for our students.
Really cool. Thank you. Someone else asked, how long is your course?
So we're a semester. I've taught it though as in the quarter system, because we just moved to semesters like 2 years ago. The quarter system, it's doable, but it's very fast. And as you can see, like there's a lot of steps, especially in the mobile marketing. There's a lot of steps in that process, and so it works better as a semester course.
Okay, thank you. And then Kim asked, have you used any B2B clients? I find students find B2C easy, but struggle with B2B, which is where some of the key opportunities are.
What, so far, I'm thinking back, the only client that I've used in my digital marketing course who was B2B was the Chamber of Commerce, actually. It was the Chino Valley Chamber of Commerce. And they approached me, and actually that's been a great resource. But it was a little bit more challenging for my students. One, when we started, my students didn't even know what a Chamber of Commerce was. And I feel awful. I didn't really know much about what a Chamber of Commerce did either. And so that was a big learning experience for all of us. But you're right. Students get B2C because it's easier for them to step into the shoes of the consumer and create things that are meaningful to them. But yeah, with the B2B, it was much more difficult. And so because of that, we did a lot more. This is when we could actually meet face-to-face with people. We did a lot more focus groups and did a lot more research and talking to industry professionals. So my students could get into that mindset and understand what the businesses were looking for. But yeah, that was a big hurdle. So I totally agree. The B2B is difficult.
Yeah, really good question, Kim. And then Stu also came into the chat, asked if you had any tips for finding new partnerships, and then you read his mind.
Yes, I always get that question, and so that's the best way. And I mean, I've also in the past, I mean, feel like now because I've done this so often, I've have clients more coming to me. But in the beginning, I'd post something on my LinkedIn and be like, "Hey, I'm teaching a digital marketing course this fall. Is anyone interested in working with us?" And it's I usually get feeds off of that as well.
Yeah, I definitely learned in our sessions at ProfCon talking about client-based projects that companies are a lot more open to working with digital marketing classes than we think they are. Anetta asked, will we be looking for future clients in the nonprofit?
Yes, and actually in the past, we have worked with 2 nonprofits. Thank you for asking that question. Those have been, for me, some of the most fun ones to work with because I feel like we're actually really making a difference. And my students seem to really latch on to those as well. At our school, aside from hands-on, we're really into service learning and service learning projects. So we've worked with not a few nonprofits. One of my favorites, and I guess it was actually our client was Cal Poly's, our alumni association. So that was one nonprofit, and they tasked us with, they were trying to create an app for our alumni to get them more engaged. And obviously, if you get your alumni more engaged, they're more likely to give more money. And so my students actually created a prototype of the alumni app. And 6 months later, our university launched that app. And so that's something that my students have in their portfolios, as well as that they helped create the app for their university. And then the other nonprofit we've worked with was, oh gosh, I'm going to mess up it was like the Orange County, it's such a long acronym. There's an Orange County business. I don't know, but basically what they did is they put on like these like TED Talks and TED Talk type things in Orange County and bring business people together and to talk about different things that are happening, policies and politics that were affecting business in Orange County. And so we worked with them to help create an app because they wanted an app to, again, engage their members and try to get new members and let people, it was an easier way for people to register for their events and get more involved and donate, obviously. That's something else with like nonprofits. One of the big, call to action items is donate. And yeah, let me see, is there another question here? So yeah. Kim, I think you guys post both. I think there was 2. There's a digital marketing project outline and a mobile marketing project. And if not, I can resend those.
Yeah, Virgil will get that in the chat real quick, and then they'll also be posted on our website in the webinars. Oh, wrong one. Webinars archive along with recordings and the slide decks, just like we try to do with all of our other presentations. So be on the lookout for that. All right, there they are, the right ones, the sample digital marketing project and mobile marketing project. All righty. Well, if that's all the questions we have, it was a great session with you, Kristen. Really great hearing from you and some really cool insights. Thank you for being our final keynote. It was amazing, definitely last but not least.
Thank you so much.
All right, and stay tuned for our $1,000 flight voucher winner and boot camp session winners. Trevor?
Hello, we are back. And I still have the shiny teeth and that weird light with this background. It's killing me. So thank you all for showing up. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, we've had a fantastic 3-day event. We always love putting ProfCon on, and nothing changed this year as well. So we've got some giveaways and some cool things to give away. Before we jump into that, I want to talk about, remind you, for those who are just jumping in or may have missed some of the other announcements, next Friday we have a really cool event. It's one of our StuKent product launch events. We have a handful of new products that we are launching and updating. So to give you just a quick little sneak peek, we are updating our Mimic Pro and our Mimic Social simulations. So if you're users of those simulations, you will want to be there next week to see some of the cool new features that we are implementing. The other products that we are launching, we have a marketing management bundle. We've talked about that throughout this conference. It's going to be courseware and simulation. Really excited about that. We're going to show that off next week as well. Also a Mimic personal finance simulation. And then what we're seeing here right now, that we have pulled up, is our Mimic advertising simulation. This is brand new. We're excited. We're going to just show you a quick little teaser here and get you prepped for next week. So if we can hit play, I'll mute myself and we will watch this real quick.
Introducing Mimic Advertising, the only advertising simulation that gives students experience in all the major stages of an advertising campaign. In Mimic Advertising, students play the role of an advertising intern at the Julian Communications Agency, where they are tasked with making strategic advertising decisions for Bowie Supply Co.'s Nurture Bags campaign. As part of the simulation, students will analyze demographic and psychographic consumer data, identify and create a target persona, create a communications brief, recommend a big idea to guide advertising efforts, analyze media channel research to plan effective media outreach, allocate an ad budget, evaluate and recommend advertisements for the campaign, respond to questions from coworkers on best practices, ethical challenges, and advertising development. Mimic Advertising provides students with individualized feedback on every round, and it's 100% auto-graded, saving you hours of prep time. Plus, it's easy to use whether you're teaching online or in person. Give your students real-world experience they can add to their resume with the groundbreaking Mimic Advertising.
Fantastic. Thank you for sharing that. So like Stu mentioned, I think he mentioned it in the chat. We've got a link in there. Go there, register. If maybe you don't teach any of these subjects, but you have some colleagues who do, let them know about it. They're going to get first peek and look into it, and they'll be able to play around with those simulations early. So that's the product launch. It's next Friday. And it's only about an hour long, so we get you in and out fairly quickly to get you on with your weekend. All right. Speaking of courseware and curriculum, I'm going to paste a link in here real quick. If you haven't been to this page and you've thought about creating courseware, this is our Write with StuCamp page. There is a huge list of subjects that we are actively going after and looking for engaged authors, curriculum creators. And if you've got a desire to create first in the world courseware, then go to that link, select the subjects that you're interested in, and we'll get you working with our author relations manager and get that process started. So thank you for those who are helping us out as authors and courseware creators, as well as being subject matter experts as well. So giveaway time. All right. We have $1,000 flight voucher that we are giving away, and we have a winner. So the winner of the $1,000 flight voucher is from the University of the Sunshine Coast. If anyone in here is from that university, you should be excited right now. The winner of that voucher is Terena Hooper. So Terena, if you are here, congratulations. If you're not here, happen to be here right now, still congratulations. And we're going to hit you up via email and get that voucher over to you. Yesterday, that is very true, Stuart. There's a little bit of a time difference between here and there. So maybe this will be a nice little wake-up call for her in the morning. So yesterday we ran some boot camps, and there were some competitions. First place, second place, first place winners were giving away a $50 Amazon gift card, and second place or runner-up, we're giving away $25 gift cards. So for the Mimic Marketing Principles Boot Camp, first place, Tammy Katuin, second place, Christy Weidman. Congratulations. I'm just going to go through these real quick and then we can jump for joy afterwards. All right. So Mimic Analytics, first place, Donna Green, second place, Krista Bell. Mimic Consumer Behavior, first place, Julie Moore. Second place, Tammy Katuin, doubling up there. Nicely done. Mimic Market Research, first place, Kristen Bogue. Second place, Elizabeth Eichler. Mimic Public Relations, first place, Debbie Hall. And second place, Michael Hay. And then last, Mimic Digital Marketing Analytics, first place, Scott Eckert. And second place, Ryan Huang. Those are the bootcamp winners. Congratulations, everybody. Congratulations. And like true student fashion, we always have an MVP, we call it. And MVP stands for Most Valuable Poster. And that is a poster of social media. And so those, we've had a ton of engagement, lots of fun on the Twitter sphere. And so we do have an MVP for the ProfCon event, and they are getting a $25 Amazon gift card as well. We'll send it to you. That winner is Lisa Kuhlman. We congratulate you. Thank you, Lisa. Just a stalwart all 3 days, actively engaged. And we appreciate you engaging and being social with us, both in session and out of session on the socials. Okay, I think that's all for the giveaways. Just two more things real quick while we have you and before we send you off. We've got like 1 minute. What's next? All right. So in August, we have our StuCant Digital Summit. We do these 3 times a year. So in August, I will post a link just in case we don't get that in there. There it is. If you haven't registered, picture, if you haven't been to a digital summit, picture it like a very smaller version of ProfCon. It's typically 2 to 3 speakers, a couple hours long, but we do a nice mix of industry and academia. So you get a little bit of both there in a very short period of time. And that will be in August. I believe it's August 6th. I could be wrong, but hit that link, get registered for that. We'll see you there. As far as ProfCon 2022 is going to happen, I don't want to promise that it's going to be in person because, as you know, we've done that twice already in like the last year and haven't been able to make that in-person event happen. So hang tight. We'll keep you posted on what the plans are. I do like the sounds, Tammy. Jackson Hole sounds good. It seems like everyone and all of their animals and pets are going to Yellowstone National Park nowadays. And so maybe we were the trendsetters there in being there at West Yellowstone and ProfCon. So anyways, thank you all again for being here at ProfCon. Learn, prepare, share. Remember that. Go out there, be rock stars, and have a fantastic rest of your day.